परा प्रत्यक्षिती रूपा पश्यन्ति परदेवता मध्यमा वैखरी रूपा भक्तमानसहंसिका.
Since the power of expression depends upon the correspondence of the words and their meanings, as the unconditioned Brahman also is included in the sound Shabda Brahman. Why then is Brahman indirectly Lakshana indicated, as the Vedantins say, by the words existence, etc.? Because the words which are the physical forms of speech, Vaikhari, only express, identify the physical form of Brahman, the Virat, and do not correspond to the pure, unconditioned Brahman. Thus, replying, he divides into four forms. The following should be noted. During Pralaya, when the actions, karmas of beings about to be manifested are not yet ripe, the Brahman, bound by Maya and by those actions, karma bhinna Maya, literally meaning Maya itself in the forms of actions, is called Ghani Bhuta, the congealed one. When, in course of time, the actions begin to ripen and the former state of unripeness disappears, that state is called Vichikirsha, longing for action. At the moment of ripeness, when the modification of Maya appears, Brahman, endowed with Maya in the form of ripened actions, is called Avyakta, unmanifested. Hence, creation is attributed in the Smritis to Avyakta, O best of the twice born. From that is sprung the Avyakta with the three qualities. That Avyakta, as it is the sprouting root of the universe, is termed as Karanabindu, the cause dot. The Prapanchasara says that intelligence, the congealed one, deserve of actions, attains the state of Karanabindu. From this Karanabindu proceeds in order the Karyabindu, effect dot. From the latter Nada, sound, thence the Bija. Thus the three came into being. These three are also called by the words the supreme, the subtle, and Sukshma, and the physical, Stula. In their nature, they partake respectively of intelligence, Chit, combined intelligence and non intelligence, Chidachit, and of non intelligence, Achit. So the Rahasya Gama says that Bindu, the cause dot, when in the course of time it sprouts, becomes three. Its three divisions are gross, subtle, and supreme. These are called Bindu, Nada, and Bija. These four, including the Karana Bindu, in their divine aspect, Adidaivata, are Avyakta, Ishvara, Hiranyagarbha, and Virat. Also the four Shaktis, namely Shanta, Vama, Jeshtha, Raudri, and also Ambika, Icha, Jnana, and Kriya. In the elemental aspect, Adhibhuta, these are the four seats, namely Kamarupa, Purnagiri, Jalandhara, Odhyana. So, the Nitya Hridaya says, in the bodily aspects, Adhyatma and Karnabindu resides in the Mooladhara and is known by the words Shakti, Pinda, monosyllabled mantra, Kundalini, etc. The Acharya Laghustava verse 2 says, by the following words about the Kundalini, there is a Shakti called Kundalini, having known her, who is ever engaged in the work of the creation of the universe, a man never again enters his mother's womb as a child. That is, he has no samsara. This is the Karana Bindu in its non differentiated condition when it sprouts in order to create the three, namely Karya Bindu, etc. Then the unmanifested sound called Shabda Brahman, Brahman word, arises in it. It is also said from this differentiation of that Karana Bindu comes the unmanifested sound. That sound is termed as Shabda Brahman by those learned in sound. This sound, since it is one with Karya Bindu and is therefore all pervading, yet first appears in the Mooladhara of persons by the power of air acted upon by the effort of manifestation. It is said, in the Mooladhara, in the body, the air first appears. That air, acted upon by the effort of a person desiring to speak, produces the all pervading Shabda Brahman. That Shabda Brahman, which is in the Karana Bindu, when it is manifested, remaining motionless, Nishpanda, in its own place, is called para speech. The same Shabda Brahman, produced by the same air, proceeding as far as the navel, joined with the reasoning intellect, Manas, possessing the nature of the manifested Karya Bindu, with simple notion, Samanya Spanda, is named Pashyanti speech. Next, the same Shabda Brahman, produced by the same air, proceeding as far as the heart, joined with the determining understanding, Buddhi, in the manifested Nada, endowed with the special motion, Vishesha Panda, is called Madhyama speech. Next, the same Shabda Brahman, produced by the same air, proceeding as far as the mouth and developed in the throat, etc., in the form of articulation capable of being heard by others, possessing the nature of the manifested bija with the universal motion spashtatara, is called Vaikhari speech. It is explained by Acharya that sound which first arises in the Mooladhara is called para. Next, the Pashyanti. Next, when it goes as far as the heart and is joined to the understanding Buddhi, it is called Madhyama, and the full manifestation is Vaikhari. Thus, articulated sound is produced by air. The Nityatrayi also says the para form rises in the Mooladhara produced by air. The same air rising upwards, manifested in the Swadhisthana, attains the Pashyanti state. The same slowly rising upwards and manifested in the Anahata, united with the understanding, is termed Madhyama. Again, rising upwards, appearing in the Vishuddhi, and comes out from the throat as Vaikhari. Thus, Vishuddhi and others, though there are four kinds of speech: gross minded men who do not understand the first three, namely para, etc., think speech to be Vaikhari alone. The Shruti says, hence men think that alone to be speech which is imperfect, that is to say, imperfect by not possessing the first three forms. Another Shruti also says, Rigveda, part 1, verses 64 to 145. Four are the definite grades of the speech. Those Brahmins who are wise know them. Three are deposited in secret and motionless men speak the fourth grade of speech. The Sutta Samhita, part 4, verses 4, say, also says, Apada, the motionless Shabda Brahman, became Pada, the four forms of speech, and Pada may become Apada, he who knows the distinction between pada and apada, he really sees, that is, himself becomes Brahman. Thus, by the Shrutis and Smritis, it is concluded that the word Tat has four divisions: Para, etc. The characteristic of the words Pada, according to Gautama Sutra, Part 2, verses 2, is that Pada is that which has a termination. Panini, also, Sutra, Part 1, verse 4, that which ends in sup, nominal, and in tin, verbal, is called pada. Again, sup, termination, has four divisions. Even the word tat in the para only denotes the unmanifested form avyakta, the cause of para, etc., which has the three qualities and does not indicate the unconditioned Brahman, which is above that avyakta. How can the word tat in the Vaikhari form indicate Brahman? It does not. But even if the word tadatmya identity has the power to denote Brahman, yet the word Tat can only indicate it indirectly, or Para, highest. She is called Para because she is the highest of the three lower speeches. The Tripura Siddhanta explains the word para by different ways. As she is pleased with Paranandanatha, a guru, she is called para. As she is celebrated in the work called Parananda, she is para. And as she is the supreme source of grace, she is para. Thus, Shambhavi is called para. Inner consciousness, pratyakchiti rupa, pratyak, inwardly, one who approaches the self, rupa, form, that is, the unmanifested Brahman as her form, Pashyanti, she has another name, namely Uttirini, rising up. The Saubhagya Shuddhoyadaya says, as she sees all in herself and as she rises Uttirna above the path of action, hence this mother is called Pashyanti and Uttirna, supreme deity, Paradevata. She is to be worshipped as the supreme deity, Madhyama, because she abides in the midst. It is said, she is neither like Pashyanti nor does she proceed outwards like Vaikhari with articulation fully developed, but she is in the middle between these two, in the form of Vaikhari, Vaikhari Rupa, Vaikhari, Vai, much, khara, hard, that is speech in its physical form. According to the Saubhagya Sudhodaya, Vai, certainly, kha, the cavity of the ear, ra, to go or to enter. But according to the saying of Yoga Shastras, she is called Vaikhari because she was produced by the prana called Vaikhara, the swan in the midst of the devotees. Bhakta Mana Samshikha, as the mythical swans live in the celestial lake called Manasa, so she lives in the minds Manasa of her devotees.
कामेश्वरः प्राणनाडी कृतज्ञा कामपूजिता शृङ्गाररससम्पूर्णा जया जालन्धरस्थिता.
The vital current of Kameshwara, Kameshwara Prananadi, the Acharya Saundarya Lahari, verse 22 says, when Shiva drank the virulent poison, his days did not end, O mother, owing to the power of your ear ornaments. Judge of actions, Kritagnya, Krita, good and bad actions, the sun, the moon, the good of earth, time, and the five elements. These nine are the witnesses of good and bad actions. She is not separated from these. She is called Kritagna or Krita. the actions done, gna, that is, she rewards them by imparting knowledge, or krita, vat, already acquired, gna, knowledge, she possesses, krita, krita yuga, the golden age. As then righteousness was perfectly established, knowledge, gya, also was perfect. That is, she has perfect knowledge, as the golden age had. According to the science of dice, there are four Dhyutas, which are called Krita, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali, and numbered respectively 4, 3, 2, and 1. But they count 10, 6, 3, and 1 respectively, because in higher number the lower ones are included. So, the Shruti, Chandogya Upanishad, part 4, verse 3 says, now these 5 and other 5 make 10, that is, represents the Krita caste. Hence, according to the science of Dhyuta, he who conquers Krita is understood to have conquered the other 3. For the Shruti, Chandogya Upanishad, says, as in the game of dice, all lower castes belong to him who has conquered with the Krita caste. The meaning is like the Krita caste. Her knowledge is all pervading and all embracing, or she knows the Krita caste. The expression is that she always conquers when she casts the dice with Shiva, worshipped by Kama, Kama Pujita. The Arunopanishad, Taittiriya Ardhantam, says, there is a bodiless son of Lakshmi. Though he is without mind, he has life. He acquired the jewel Panchadashi mantra, filled with the essence of love, Shringara Rasa Sampurna, or as he refers below, the Jalandhara and Odiyana centers, Pithas. These two represent the Pithas called Kamarupa and Purnagiri. Shringa, two, that is two horns. Ara, petal. Rasa, six, that is six flavors. So Shringara Rasa means the center called Anahata, which has twice six petals. Some, the frequency, Purna, remains. That is, she frequently remains in that center. According to the Tantras, the well known four centers in the elements, Adhibhuta, namely Kamarupa, etc., remain in the body in the Mooladhara, Anahata, Vishuddhi, and in the Agna respectively. Hence, this name indicates Anahata Purnagiri centers in the body and in the world, or Shringa, chief, Arara, covering, that is to say, the avidya which wields Sa with Sampurna, Brahman, literally meaning perfect. That is, she is both conditioned and unconditioned Brahman, victorious, Jaya. According to the Padma Purana, Jaya is the deity worshipped in the Varaha mountain, remaining in the Jalandharashita. According to the Padma Purana, Jalandhara is a place where she is worshipped under the name of Vishnumukhi. 17th verse divides 44 names.
ओढ्यानपीठनिलया बिन्दुमण्डलवासिनी रहो यागक्रमाराध्या रहस्तर्पणतर्पिता.
Abiding in the center, called Odhyana, Odhyana Pithanilaya, dwelling in the center of Bindu, Bindu Mandala Vasini, Bindu Mandala, the center, called Sarvanandamaya. Some explain that Bindu means white, Mandala, circle, that is the Brahmarandra, to be worshipped in the secret by sacrificial rites. Raho Yagra Krimaradhya, the Acharya, Saundarya Lahari, verse 9 says, in the Sahasrara lotus, in the secret place, you sport with your husband. Raho in the secret, in the Sahasrara, Yaga, the sacrifice of the 8 oblations of good actions, etc., in the fire of Chit, supported by the golden Kundalini, or Raho Yaga means the meeting of Shiva and Shakti in a lonely place, in the Sahasrara, Krama, stepping into that place, Aradhya is to be attained. The Apastamba says, salvation is not for him who confines himself to spiritual words alone, not for him who delights in the fine houses or in rich food and clothes or in the worldly ideas, but the man of firm vow who leads a lonely life and has ceased from worldly pursuits attains salvation, and he who constantly rejoices in meditation on the self and who never endures anything attains salvation. Gratified by secret oblations, Rahastar Panatarpita, the Aruna Upanishad, also says, if one would enter, let him enter, having practiced lonely communion. According to the method of devotion to Sri Vidya, one should only adopt the path after having recognized the higher self. Rahastarpana. A mantra describes it thus, holding in both hands, representing brightness and darkness, prakasha and vimarsha, the sacrificial ladle of Unmani, a yogic state, pouring out the ghee of righteousness and unrighteousness, and the senses, kalas, in the fire of consciousness. I sacrifice. Another description is I sacrifice the universe from the earth to Shiva in the fire of Samvit, ever burning without fuel and ever increasing, dispelling the darkness of illusion, the center from which ever emanates beautiful rays.
सद्यः प्रसादिनी विश्वसाक्षिणी साक्षिवर्जिता षडङ्गदेवता युक्ता षड्गुण्यपरिपूरिता.
Conferring immediate grace, Sadhya Prasadini. She is at once gratified by the sacrifice and oblation mentioned above. Witness of the universe, Vishwashakshini, herself unwitnessed, Sakshivarjita. There is no witness to the one who is the witness of all things, accompanied by the deities of 6 limbs. Sadanga Devata Yukta, the Angas limbs are heart, head, tuft of hair, eyes, armor, and weapons. She is accompanied by the Shaktis belonging to these. The Jnananarnava and other works say, next he should perform the consecration of the limbs which belong to the Sri Vidya mantra. This one should perform externally in order. Afterwards, he should worship the surrounding deities, which are 3 in number. By these avarna, deities number 9 is completed, or Sadanga Devata is Shiva, who presides over the 6 Angas. The Devi Bhagavata Purana says, omniscience, contentment, non original wisdom, independence, unfading power, and infinity. These, say the learned, are the 6 Angas of Lord Maheshwara, or Shadangas, are phonetics, ceremonial, kalpa, grammar, lexicography, prosody, and astronomy. Surrounded by the deities of these 6 means that Vedas are her form. Possessing the 6 qualities, Sadgunya Paripurita, the 6 gunas, according to Kamandaka, ethical code, are peace, war, marching, sitting, encamped, dividing his forces and allies. The Purnas give out the following: prosperity, righteousness, fame, wealth, wisdom, and dispassion.
नित्यक्लिन्ना निरुपमा निर्वाणसुखदायिनी नित्या षोडशिका रूपा श्रीकण्ठार्थशरीरिणी
Ever compassionate Nitya Klinna or Nitya Klinna is the deity of the third day of the lunar fortnight. This deity has been described in the Garuda Purana, beginning with the verse. Next, I describe Nitya Klinna. She is Tripura herself, giving happiness and salvation. Without an equal, Nirupama, the Shruti, says none is equal to him. Nirvana, Nir, freed, Vana or Bana, body. Because in the Shruti, holding this bow, body, and in the word Girvana by the Vedantins and Mimamsins, this word is explained as body. The Amarasesha also says Bana means body and bow. So here nirvana means without body, that is, indescribable bliss. In the Kurma Purana, Devi says to Himavan, if you neglect me, O king of mountains, you cannot attain the purest of the supreme nirvana. Therefore, seek refuge in me, regarding me as one, as many, or as combined. Thus, worshipping me, O great king, you will attain that state in the form of 16 eternal deities. Nitya Shoda Shikarupa. 16 deities are from Kameshwari to Tripurasundari. The Tantra Raja says the 15 deities are the limbs of Lalita, who is the first of the 16. As she is endowed with these limbs, she is the body of which they are parts, or Nitya, compulsory, frequent, Sodashika, a house where Graha sacrifice is performed, Rupa, pleased, that is, she is pleased by the compulsory sacrifices. The Shakti Rahasya says, the mother is as much pleased by a single repetition of the Shodashi, 16 syllabled mantra, as by the crores of Vajepa and Shodashi sacrifices. Possessing half the body of Sri Kantha, Sri Kantartha Sharini, Sri Kantha, Sri, poison, Kantha, throat. As the poison is fixed in his throat, Shiva is called Sri Kantha. She forms one body with Shiva. Hence, the Brahmanda Upanishad says, in the beginning was self alone. He then divided himself into two, and thence arose husband and wife. Or like Shiva, she has a body of two colors. One half of the body is blue and other half is white. The Vayu Purana says that beneficent one, having the half of body of samsara and the right half of her body is white. So thus she divided her body, said Brahma to Devi, O twice born ones. Thus of the two forms one become Gauri, white, the other Kali, blue. According to the Matrakokosha, a means Srikantha, Indra, forehead, and Vishnu. Thus, Srikantha is A. The letter A is half the body of the other letters in speech. Thus, it is said in the Shruti, A is all the speech, that A takes on different forms in combination with different consonants, literally with sparsha, that is Ka to Ma, and with Usman, Shah, etc. The meaning is that A, the first utterance, is the para form which becomes later on the Vaikhari. So, the Sutta Samhita, part 4, verses 47 to 59 say, the Supreme Shakti, Devi, the form of Chit, arises as speech. That speech is called Para. I ever bow down in devotion to that Shakti, who is the half the body of Shiva. or Devi, who has only half a body. The other half is called Sri Kantha, that is, the fulfiller of the half. This is also explained in the same book, Sutta Samhita, Part 4. The Shakti called desire is filled in the belly of Shiva. This means in the Shaiva school, in the performance of nyasa, meditating certain deities on different parts of the body, half the body is filled with the Purnodari and other Shaktis, and the other half by Sri Kantha of Shiva. Or when we write the letter A, Sri Kantha, half, Ardha, of it is like Kamakala.
प्रभावती प्रभारूपा प्रसिद्धा परमेश्वरी मूलप्रकृतिरव्यक्ता व्यक्ता व्यक्तस्वरूपिणी.
Luminous, Prabhavati, Prabha, the surrounding Avarana Devatas, namely Anima, etc. Because there is a saying, Devi is surrounded by Anima and other luminaries. Some learned Jains, Haribhanda, and others record in their works, Dharma Samgrahini, etc. The rays are the qualities, they are not substratum. Among these, even the quality of brightness is not the substratum. In the form of brightness, Prabharupa, this indicates the identity of the quality and the possessor of it. Prabha, Anima, and other devatas. The Shruti Chandogya Upanishad says, mind itself, brightness itself, celebrated, Prasiddha, because Devi is known by all in the shape of I. The Devi Bhagavata Purana says that Devi all men recognize under the form of I. The first verse of the same book also says, we meditate upon the primeval Vidya in the form of the universal Chaitanya, supreme ruler, Parameshwari, primary cause, Mula Prakrit, Mula, root, that is Sri Vidya mantra, Prakriti, origin. She is in the form of the two letters, Prakasha, A, which is the origin of all the letters, and Vimarsha, Ha, the last letter, or Mula Prakriti, is the matter of the Samkhya school, for they say, Samkhya, Mula Prakriti is no production. The seven, Mahat, etc., are productions and productive. The 16 are the modifications. The Purusha is neither Prakriti nor its modifications. According to the Mrigendra Samhita, the Kundalini is called Mula Prakriti with its seven productions, Mahat, etc. As it, the Kundalini, is surrounded by Sushumna, which is in the form of seven productions, namely Mahat, etc., or of the five elements from ether to earth. Each is the Prakriti, origin of the succeeding one. Of ether, Brahman is the Prakriti. For the Shruti Taittiriya Upanishad, Part 2 says, from the self arose ether. That Brahman has no Prakriti, so he is the root, Mula, the first cause. In the Pancharatra Agreya, Shiva says, there is one mother of the universe, the mother of the scriptures, Saraswati, who has no origin. Hence, she is called Mula Prakriti. In her, I took birth with the categories, namely Mahat, etc. This is to be understood here. Amongst the actions, karma, which are to be become ripe in a certain time, those that ripen are exhausted by fruition, the others which are not ripe and have not come consequently to fruition, a new creation for their sake being useless, a prakrita, temporary pralaya, dissolution takes place. Then Maya, consuming all the world, is absorbed into the independent Paramashiva, who is without attributes. It, Maya, abides thus till the ripening of the remaining actions. It is said, in the dissolution, this animate and inanimate universe is merged in that Maya. The Vishnu Purana also says, the earth, the basis of all. O divine Rishi, becomes dissolved into water. Water is absorbed into fire, and fire is absorbed into air, and air is absorbed into ether. This into the unmanifested Avyakta. This, O Brahmana, is Maya, entirely absorbed in the unconditioned Purusha. The dissolution of it, Maya, is not absolute annihilation as in the salvation, Nirvana, but like the medical modifications in the state of sleep, as there is no appearance of the modifications of Maya during Pralaya, though at the time by the power of the illumination of the unconditioned Supreme Self, it, Maya, receives light, yet it remains as if it has no light. If there is no light at all to the Maya, then there is no existence of it. If you accept this theory, there will be no succeeding creation. The modification of Maya in the form of desire for creation arises in Paramashiva for the sake of bestowing the fruit on those whose unripened actions are absorbed in Maya. When their actions become ripe in the course of time, that state of Maya is variously named by the words sight, desire, thought, desire of action, etc. The Aitareya Upanishad says, He, the thought, let me create the worlds. The Chandogya Upanishad, it, the thought, let me become many. The Mandokya Upanishad, by penance, Brahman is increased. This manifestation of Maya, characterized by the objective distinctions, is the first creation, the creation of darkness, tamasa sarga, void of consciousness. The Shruti Rigveda, part 10, beginning with, There was no being in that time, nor was no being. In the beginning of darkness was hidden by intelligence, also confirms the above. From that, the Avyakta arose, etc. From this creation, called Tamasa, in which the three qualities, gunas, were differentiated, arose the creation of partially manifested Mahat. This is the second creation. It is said from Avyakta comes the category of Mahat, in which are distinctly manifested the three gunas. So also from Mahat, Ahamkara, from that creation of Mahat arises the third, the creation of Ahankara, in which the three gunas are manifested objectively. It is said, from Mahat arose the threefold egoism, namely Vaikarika, pure, Taijasa, passionate, and Tamasa, dark, which last is the origin of the elements. Here, as Tamasa is the origin of the elements, it follows that the rest of the creation belongs to Sattva and Rajas. From that Tamasa, egoism, which is called the origin of the elements, arose with the aid of the Rajas, the creation of the five subtle elements, Tanmatras. This is the fourth creation. From the pure egoism, called Vaikarika, with the aid of Rajas, arose the creation of the aggregate of 11 senses. This is the fifth creation. From the Rajas, egoism, the deities, Dik, Vata, Arka, Rasetas, Ashwins, etc., who are the deities of the above two, fourth and the fifth creations. This is the sixth creation. For the Sankhya say, from the pure egoism arose the 11th Sattvika creation, senses. From the Bhutadi, Tamasa egoism, the subtle elements, and from the Rajas egoism, the deities presiding over both. But in the Shaiva school, it is said, from pure egoism comes mind, from passionate egoism, the 10 senses. Thus, there is a difference. For the Shaivas say, it, Mahat, becomes threefold by differentiation of Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, that is called by names Vaikarika, Taijasai, and Bhutadi. From the Taijasa, mind comes, from Vaikarika, senses, and from Bhutadi, the subtle elements. These are the creations from that Mahat. These six creations are Prakrita, belong to Prakriti, the Vaikrita, belonging to the products Mahat, etc. Creation comprises trees, etc., whose life current tends upwards, animals whose life current is horizontal, and Bhutha, Preta, etc., whose life current tends downwards. The Prakrita and Vaikrita creations taken together are called Kaumatra creation. The Bhagavad Gita Purana says, the first is the creation of Mahat, therein the inequality of the gunas arises. The second is egoism, therein arise object, dravya, knowledge, jnana, and action, kriya. The third is the creation of the elements, therein arise the subtle elements, having the energies of dravya. The fourth is the creation of the senses, which consists of knowledge and action. The fifth is the Vaikarika, the creation of the Devas, which consists of mind. The sixth is the creation of Tamas, which is the creation of all pervading Maya, devoid of knowledge. These six are called Prakrita creations. Here, from me, the Vaikrita creation, etc. Here, the creation of Tamas, called Avyakta, is the sixth in order, but according to its meaning, it should be taken as first. In this connection, the Vayu and other Puranas should be consulted. In these creations, beginning with Avyakta creation, the previous one is the origin of the succeeding ones. Brahman alone is the origin of Avyakta. So, as he is the root of all creations, and as he has no root, he is the root manner, Mula Prakriti. Hence, Shruti says, beyond the senses there are objects, beyond the Mahat, the Avyakta, beyond the Avyakta there is the person, beyond the person there is nothing. This is the goal and the supreme abode, or Maya. 5. That is the five subtle elements, and La. 3. That is Avyakta, Mahat, and Ahankara. Therefore, Mala. 8. Prakriti causes the Samsara Sutra says there are 8 Prakritis underdeveloped. Avyakta. He now proceeds to praise Devi and the form of the creations in order. Avyakta is the manifestation of Maya. According to the Samkhya school, it is expressed by the words Pradhana, foundation, Prakriti, matter, and other words. It is said in the Samkhya Sapati that is the Avyakta which is subtle, without characteristics, inanimate, without beginning or end, capable of production, without parts, one and universal. Panchadashi Ksharacharya also says, Pradhana, say the wise, is the Avyakta which is without beginning or middle, beyond Mahat, and permanent. It, Avyakta, is a collective form of the three qualities. The Samkhya Sutra says Sattva and the rest are not the qualities of that Brahman, because they are the qualities of that Avyakta. Or Avyakta means Brahman in the place. Veda Sutra. It is said that Brahman in Avyakta, the scripture says so. The Shruti Mandokya Upanishad says he is not to be felt by the eyes, nor by the speech, nor by other deities, nor by penance, nor by action. Or Avyakta means Vishnu. The Linga Purana says the names of Vishnu, who is ever capable of creation, and Pradhana, Avyaya, Yone, origin, Avyakta, Prakriti, and Tamas, in the form of manifested and unmanifested. Vyakta, the category Mahat, it is called so because it was first manifested, and also from its greatness. Avyakta, on all sides. Vyakta, manifested. That is egoism, the product of the above. This name may be taken as two names. If the name Brahmajanani is taken as one. According to this view, Vyakta is the supreme egoism. Paratmatma, for the supreme egoism, is in the form of Tripurasundari because she is manifested in the category of egoism, or she is in the form of both manifested and unmanifested. That is, she is and is not subject to the modifications of the elements. The Linga Purana says, Vyakta is called Sat, existence, and it is the second modification of the elements. Avyakta is called Asat because it is devoid of that modification, or Vyakta, perishable, and Avyakta, imperishable. The Matsya Purana says, Vyakta is said to be perishable and Avyakta, imperishable, or Vyakta, individual, and Avyakta, collective form. The Nrisimha Purana says, the Vyakta is known as collective and Avyakta, O Lord of ascetics, is individual. According to the Brahma Purana, the wise say the 73 categories are meant by the word Vyakta and by the word Avyakta, the supreme Prakriti, or Vyakta, Avyakta, and Vyakta Vyakta. Thus, there are three kinds of lingas of Shiva. She is in all the forms. The three kinds of lingas are described in the Brahma Vaivarta Purana. These are three lingas, namely Swayambhuva, self existing, Banalinga, got from a certain river, Shailalinga, made of stone. These are respectively called Vyakta, Avyakta, and Vyakta Vyakta. Vyakta, they say, gives salvation, the Avyakta gives worldly happiness, and Vyakta Vyakta gives both happiness and salvation. The Banalinga is said to be that which outweighs even 2 or 3 tulas of weight. The rest are called Shaila, mere stone, by the learned. Or she is manifested, Vyakta, in those whose deeds are ripened, and is not manifested, Avyakta, in those who are bound by the noose of Maya. The Shakti Rahasya says, when it describes the descent of Shakti into a man, how do you say that the Supreme Shakti, which is all pervading, descends? The descent is from above downwards. Only that which has form and is not all pervading can descend. True, she is all pervading, eternal, coexistent with Shiva, yet she is hidden in those who are bound by the noose of impurity, action, etc., and manifested in them whose sins are burnt out. In this way, she is said to descend.
व्यापिनी विविधाकारा विद्या विद्यास्वरूपिणी महाकामेशनयना कुमुदाह्लादकौमुदी
All pervading, Vyapini. She is called all pervading because she assumes the forms of the three creations of the threefold egoism. Thus ends the fifth Kala, called Jwalini, with the 400 in the Saubhagya Bhaskara, composed by Bhaskararāya, of multiform, Vidhakara, the difference form of Vaikrita, creation, or of Kaumara, creation, for Vaikrita and Prakrita, in the form of knowledge and ignorance. Vidya, Vidya Swarupini, Vidya and Avidya are explained in the Isha Upanishad. One who simultaneously knows both knowledge and ignorance, having crossed over death by ignorance, attains immortality by knowledge. Or Vidya, knowledge of the self. Avidya, knowledge in the form of last modification, of duality, that is, just before realization. The Brahmanda Naradiya Purana says, the supreme Shakti of that Vishnu, capable of absorbing the universe in the form of existence and non existence, is sung as Vidya and Avidya. The Devi Bhagavata Purana also says, she is Brahman himself, very difficult to attain, and in the form of Vidya and Avidya. In another place, O king, Know that Vidya and Avidya are two forms of Devi. By one men are freed, and by the other they are bound. Or Vidya, the knowledge in the form of the last modification of duality, or of the false knowledge. Chatramavritti, avidya, confused knowledge of separateness, swa, the knowledge belonging to the Supreme Brahman, because according to the lexicography, swa means relations and self, rupa, these three are her form. Linga Purana says Shiva has three forms Bhranti, Vidya, and Para. The knowledge of different objects is called Bhranti by the learned. Knowledge in the form of self is called Vidya. Knowledge concerning Brahman without ambiguity is called Para, supreme. The moonlight which gladdens the Kumada flowers of the eyes of Mahakamesha Shayana Kumuda Hladau Kaumudi, moonlight, may mean the full moon of the month. Kartika, the Yadana says, Kumuda, neuter gender, means water lily, red lotus, and in masculinity actually means Kaumada means the month Kartika and Kaumadi, the moon of that month, or Ku, inferior, mud, pleasure, Kaumada, or those who long for worldly pleasures. They are called inferior because their pleasures are mixed with pain and for other reasons, so Kaumuda means a miserable one. The Sashvata and Vishwa say Kumut means inferior, men and water lily. Ah, full, Hlada, joy, that is salvation. A man attains that stage by being led Nayana to Mahakamesha, Kaumudi, light. The meaning is that she becomes out of pity, light, as it were to them who are blind in worldly pursuits.
भक्तहार्दतमो भेदा भानुमद्भानुसन्ततिः शिवदूती शिवाराध्या शिवमूर्तिः शिवङ्करी
She is the sunbeam which drives out the darkness from the heart of her devotees. Bhakta Hardata Mobheda Bhanu Madbhanu Samtathi. Shiva is her messenger, Shivaduti. The Markandeya Purana says, as Shiva himself was made a messenger by that Devi, she was known in the world as Shivaduti. Some commentators think that she was made a messenger by Shiva, but this interpretation is without authority. This is the deity of Pushakar Tirtha. The Padma Purana says, now I will tell you of the other deities. She who lives in the Pushkara, Shivaduti, the beneficent, ever conferring happiness, worshipped by Shiva, Shivaradhya. The Brahma Purana says, even Shiva, by worshipping whom, by meditation, by the power of yoga, becomes the lord of all siddhis and becomes half female, Ardhanarishwara. Shivaduti is a certain mantra of the four parts worshipped by Shiva in the form of Shiva, Shivamurti, because there is no separation between Shiva and Shakti. The Shruti says, one Rudra hidden in all beings. He is with Maya, with parts and without parts. He is Devi herself and is not separated from her. By knowing this, one attains immortality, or Shiva, beneficent, Murti, form, or Shiva, salvation, Murti, form, because salvation is the realization of the very self. The Saura Samhita says, now I shall explain concisely to you the nature of salvation. Hence, the supreme salvation is the realization of the self. Those who are bound by avidya are freed by Vidya. Giver of happiness, Shivamkari. She makes her devotees happy, Shiva, by removing the noose of avidya and leads them to Brahman which is to be attained by liberal souls, or Shiva means auspiciousness, and Kari, giver. So it entirely means the person who gives auspiciousness.
शिवप्रिया शिवपरा शिष्टेष्टा शिष्टपूजिता अप्रमेया स्वप्रकाशा मनोवाचा मगोचरा.
Beloved of Shiva, Shiva Priya, or Shiva, is loved by her. Beyond Shiva, Shiva Para, because the position of Shiva depends upon Shakti, or to whom Shiva is the supreme Para, or she reveals Shiva to her devotees. Desired by the wise, Shishteshta, Shishta, ordained ceremonies which are dear to her, Ishta, Sishta, she is worshipped by the ordained ceremonies. It is said, the Lord should be worshipped by the means of ceremonies according to one's caste and order, and not by mere offering, scent, flower, etc. The Bharata and Brahmanda Naradiya Purana says, righteousness arises from conduct. The Lord of righteousness is Vishnu. According to the Vashishta Sutras, the Shishtas are those who always control their limbs, eyes, speech, and whole body, who receive the Vedas with their supplements by tradition, who are devotees to Brahman, and whose every motive directly depends on the scriptures. Or she is worshipped, Ishta, by the wise, Shishta, worshipped by the great ones, Shishta Pujita. This name clearly sums up the meaning of the previous one, immeasurable, aprameya, or Brahma, Vishnu, etc. Prameya, to be known or measured, that is, she is to be known by them only. Or water, Prameya, abiding in. The Shruti says, my origin is in the water of the ocean, self luminous, Suraprakasha. The Shruti Brahmanda Upanishad says, here this person becomes self luminous, or Su, much, water, Prakasha, manifested, beyond mind and speech. Mano Vacha Magochara, Manas, includes the functions of mind. The Shruti, Taittiriya Upanishad, says, from when speech and mind turn away, unable to reach it. In the Vishnu Purana, Prahlada's is saying is, I bow down to the Supreme Ishwari, who transcends speech and mind, and who can be grasped by the wisdom of the wise alone, or in whom is not to be found any object of thought or speech, or is to be prefixed to the name then, manas, mind, vacha, speech, ama, not purified, literally unbaked. Example, a clay vessel, not. She is beyond those whose mind and speech are not purified and therefore cannot be known by them. How is it the Shruti in one place says, the mind turns away, etc., and again in another place, Katha Upanishad, by mind alone it should be perceived, etc. This contradiction is removed in the Bhamati, the commentary on Samskara's commentary on the Veda Sutta, by Vachaspati Mishra, by adding not purified and purified, respectively, to the word mind.
चिच्चक्तिश्चेतना रूपा जडशक्तिर्जडात्मिका गायत्री व्याहृतिः सन्ध्या द्विजवृन्दनिषेविता.
Chit Shakti, Chit, according to Yashkam and Panini, meaning comparison, or Chit Shakti, the power of removing avidya, and is also termed as Chaitanya, according to the Sveya Upanishad, in imperishable and infinite highest Brahman, wherein the two Vidya Avidya are hidden. One is imperishable and the other is perishable. He who rules these two is different from either. The Devi Bhagavata Purana, Book 5, says, O King, in all beings, There is the Shakti with all its power. Any being devoid of that becomes Shakti, like a corpse. That Chit Shakti in all beings, that is but her own form. In the form of consciousness, Chetana Rupa, Sankshepa Sharikrakarcharya says the pure Chit Shakti of the Supreme Lord is Chaitanya. The Gaudapada Sutra also says Shakti is Chaitanya itself. The Devi Bhagavata Purana, we meditate upon the primeval Vidya, which is in the form of Chaitanya of all, and which guides our senses. This means the Tripartit Gayatri, hence, the Matsya Purana says, they know the Bhagavata Purana, which begins with Gayatri. In the Shruti Taittiriya Upanishad, that of bliss, Brahman, is to be discussed, that the energy is in the form of consciousness. Thus, the holy Shankararaya explains in his commentary called Vidyaratna as the Vimarsha form, the energy of the inanimate creation, Jada Shakti, a certain modification of Maya, which is correlative to the power which creates the animate world. That is this name and simply denotes the creative energy. The Vishnu Purana says the energies of all beings are not to be grasped by our intellects. The creative energies of Brahman are 100 times more difficult to grasp. They are in him as heat is in fire. O best of ascetics, he, Brahman, is only the instrumental cause of the creation of the world. The creative energies are the material cause. Except the instrumental cause, the creative energies depend on nothing. O best of ascetics, an object becomes itself by its own energy. The objective world, Jadatmika, Gayatri, the meter consisting of 24 syllables, is called Gayatri. The Kurma Purana says, I am Gayatri among the meters, or a cowherd's daughter is called Gayatri, who is the younger wife of Brahma. This story occurs in the Padma Purana. Once in the Pushkara, when Brahma was performing a sacrifice, he called Savitri, his wife, who was with Lakshmi and others. She did not come, but replied, I will come with the others. Enraged at this speech, he substituted a cowherd's daughter, bestowed by the hands of Indra, and thus addressed Vishnu. Then Brahma said to Vishnu, let us hasten for the sacrifice. There is here, O Lord, a very virtuous woman called Gayatri. Thus addressed, Vishnu replied to Brahma, do you wed this woman by the Gandharva form of marriage? I give her to you, O Lord. Do not hesitate. Take the hand of this cowherd's daughter. And thus the grandsire wedded her by the Gandharva marriage, etc. Or Gayatri, the mother of the Vedas. According to the Bharadvaja Smriti, because she protects Tra, the singer Ga, she is called Gayatri. As mother in his separable form, Gayatri, she is thus named. The Padma Purana says, after bathing in the Pushkara, one should repeat me, that is Gayatri, the mother of the Vedas. Though I abide in the 8 syllables of each part, yet this universe is pervaded by me, the Devi Purana. As everyone sings Gayana, her, and approaches Gamana, she is called Gayatri, worshipped by the Devas. The Chandogya Upanishad says, sings forth Gayatri and protects Trayati. The Vishishta Purana Ram, Gayatri because she is in the form of the song. Vyakriti, the utterance or a certain mantra. The Vayu Purana says, addressed by me, Vyaharana, you approached hence, you are known by the name Vyakriti. Santhya, Samthya means junction, also meditation. That is, the idea of the non separation of ourselves and that of Chaitanya, which is in the sun. The explanation of the word is men meditate Dhya, holy, Sam, on her. She is called Samthya. The Bharata says, Samdhya means the Brahman which abides in the sun, and she is meditated as one by the Brahma and all beings who are his race. Thus, those who know the Vedas say, the aspirant should think, I am the servant of that Brahman who is existence and consciousness. I am he. Vyasa Smriti also. Do not distinguish Gayatri from Brahman. In any case, one should worship her saying, I am she. The Bharadwaja Smriti says, she who is differentiated as Brahman, etc. The witness of action, radiant, the Shakti of Ishvara is called by the wise Samdha. The great men saying also, Gayatri with her head, the mantra Om Apah, etc. And with the fourth part is described in the Vedas as Samthya. O Tripura, though alone those decree the result of even great actions. So the great commentary Madhava says the word Samthya means the deity who is to be worshipped at the twilights. Parijatakara also says as she is to be meditated upon, she is called Samthya. This Sandhya is the mind born daughter of Brahma. The Kalika Purana says, born from his mind, beautiful in form, having beautiful limbs, named Samthya. She is the victorious deity of twilights. Because she was born to Brahma while he was enraged in meditation, she is known as Sandhya. The Bhagavati Purana says, Samdhya, who is the mind born daughter of Brahma, after performing penance and giving up her body, she became Arundhati, the wife of Vashishta. But in the Renuka Purana, it is said Ida is Kali, Pingala is Lakshmi, Sushumna is Ekavira. Thus, Sandhya is threefold. According to the Dhaumya, a year-old girl is called Samthya. 18th verse divides 38 names, worshipped by all the twice-born. Dvija Brindani Sevita. She is so worshipped because she is Santhya. The Renuka Purana says, this one Santhya is to be worshipped by Devas, the twice born, and by great souls, in sitting down, in lying down, in moving about, in eating, and she is Renuka herself, or the three names, Vyakriti, etc., mean the following three states. Vyakriti is the operation of speech and indicates the waking state. Santhya, because it is between the other two, indicates the dreaming state, since the Veda Sutra says, in the intermediate place there is a creation, for the scriptures say so, and it means the dreaming state. Dvija means birds, and hence Jivas. By all these three states she is worshipped, Sevita, by realizing union, Ni, with her, the sleeping state, as birds fatigued with flight fold their wings and enter their nests, so the tired jivas, quitting the walking and dreaming states, are absorbed in the supreme Brahman. The Brahma Upanishad says, just as in the sky, a hawk or an eagle, after a long flight, closing its wings, goes to its nest, so this person also rushes to that goal, where sleeping he neither desires anything nor dreams any dream. The Chandogya Upanishad also says, O child, there he becomes seized of Brahman,